All right, again, another day, December 19th, from the Diamine Inkvent calendar for 2024. So a new ink and a new pen to look at that I required this year. This one is called Fruit Cocktail. Interesting, and it says that it is scented. Interesting, the second scented one from this season. Let's choose a pen here to put it in. Well, this will be unusual. Okay, so those of you who have seen any of my videos before know that I like PenBBS pens. I think they do a great job, particularly for the money. The quality seems to be there for me, and I like the fact that the pens can be tinkered with and repaired, and they'll sell you the parts and everything. The bodies are machined out of good quality acrylic, and the metal parts are nice castings, it looks like. This one's interesting because the finish is kind of a matte, almost a bead blasted look and feel to it. This is, of course, the model 456. I almost said 459, but it's 456, which means it's a vacuum filler. And this one, the material looks kind of interesting. This is called Lemon Cookie. And what they do to make this material is that it is layers of acrylic that are stacked and then bonded. And so you've got clear, white, and yellow layers, and then they machine the pen out of it. And so that's kind of cool. And this is kind of it used to be limited and hard to get, and from what I understand now, they're not so hard to get. But anyway, vac fillers, as you know, you back off the tail here, you draw it out and push it in, and then when it does that popping kind of sound, that's not just the cap hitting, it's also there's a puffing sound as the ink is being drawn into the barrel because you've created a vacuum. The parts of this pen are very well made. A Twisby wrench will work on here. I tend to use a very small crescent type wrench on there just because it fits a little tighter, and I'm less likely to bugger the threads when I do it. But you really shouldn't have to take these apart very often, just like any pen. It minimizes the risk of breakage if you just don't take them apart very often. The only time you would is if you had to extremely clean it or do some repairs, but there shouldn't be any need for repairs unless you've broken something. But anyway, this ink, let's see what it smells like. Wow, that's kind of pleasant. I'm kind of shocked. It is definitely a fruity smell. I don't know if it's a fruit cocktail smell. It looks to be like a peach colored ink. So we'll go ahead and put some in this pen. And the way these work is, I hope I've got enough of an angle here you can actually see it. You put it down in so that the base of the section goes in. It's going to cause bubbles though. Oh, this is going to be fun. Actually, let me get it down closer to the end here before I put it in. It drew some ink up in there. Thought for sure I spilled it. And let's clean the nose of it off here real quick so I don't get it all over my fingers. So you can see that there's ink in there. There's not a ton. I didn't work real hard to get it full, but it's about halfway full. The level's right about there, which maybe a little more than halfway. So it's not bad. If I'd tried a little harder, I could get a better fill on it, but I was worried because we were so close to the edge on that one. Let's just see how it writes, but let me do a swatch too. All right, ye old cotton swab. The paper today, I decided to use something a little bit different. This is a laid paper made by Nina, which is a nice paper. It works pretty well with fountain pens. It has kind of a texture to it. So if you have a really fine nib, it might catch in the texture, but I don't have a ton of super fine nibs. And anyway, I like the color and that's kind of nice. Kind of a peachy orange. I think the color is going to be thrown off because of the color of the paper underneath it, but this does not look like a very saturated ink. Like it's going to be kind of pale. Let me see. This is the paper I used for yesterday's ink. We'll see how this looks on white. Yeah, you can see it there. But you can also see how pale it is. How it thins out here. It's kind of orange. Yeah. I think that when you write with it, it's going to depend a lot on how wet the pen is. And it shows more peach on this. To me, it looks more peach on this paper than it does on that. Okay, so this is a PenBBS. Oh, that's right, I've forgotten. I should have remembered this. So one of the things that's really cool about PenBBS, if you really get into them, is that they have a lot of different nibs with different grinds, and you can order them. And I think at one point I counted 35 nibs that you can get from them, which is pretty astounding. Only the old Estabrooks seem to have more options than this brand does. They have them in steel and they have them in gold, and they have carved gold ones, and they're just the breadth of offerings from PenBBS is stunning, and they're all, to me, pretty fabulous. And then I don't know if you can see what is on the face of that nib there. Oops, I'm kind of bumping everything there. It's like a fish. I'm trying to get a good angle on it. I can't really see clearly what it is, but it's like a koi fish that's been etched into the steel nib there. It's not as beautiful as their carved gold ones, but it's kind of good. But the grind of this nib is I can't, sometimes they call it long knife and other things like that. It is an architect grind, so that it is thinner in the verticals, then the horizontals get wider. So that's why this is writing kind of like a marker. But this is the PenBBS 456. Lemon cookie is the material. And I don't remember the number of this nib. They actually have them numbered, and I don't remember what this one is. But it is an architect grind. And the ink is Diamine Fruit Cocktail. It writes well. It's kind of an unusual color for me, but if you like your peachy oranges, this is certainly in there. And the smell is pleasant. It's like air freshener fruit smelling. I don't know. And one of the things that's important to remember about these scented inks is that they are intended for the enjoyment of the writer, not the receiver, because by the time this ink dries, the smell goes away. Anyway, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.